It's cap and trade.
I think
is this a 70s style story?
No,
Peter?
I think it's much worse. I think it's a combination of 70s and 30s. That's why I've been talking about an inflationary depression. That's what I think is coming.
All right, Jerry Bowyer, let me put I think we have the Ben Bernanke sound. Do we have the sound? Let's play the Ben Bernanke sound, and then let you react to what Peter Schiff is saying. Hold on one second. Take a listen.
We have come almost full circle, with credit availability increasingly restricted for low and moderate income borrowers. And the damage from this turn in the credit cycle, in terms of lost wealth, lost homes, and blemished credit histories, is likely to be long-lasting.
All right, what I gather from that, Jerry, is that there is no end to the monetary pump priming, period.
Right,
end of sentence. And
right.
I want to get your response. Both Don Luskin, who referred to Hayek's road to serfdom, a socialist command and control argument made by the great free market Austrian Nobel Prize winner. I think he made it in the 1940s. And you heard Peter Schiff talk about, I think, inflationary depression. Dougie Cass is more optimistic. I might add, at least in the short run, so am I. Where do you come out, Jerry? Is this long-lasting? Are we turning the corner? Are we ridding ourselves of the deflation, but only to move into inflation?
Well, I think Road to Serfdom was 1945, and terrific book. I think they actually put funding for that road in the stimulus bill, in the infrastructure bill. They're expanding
Except it goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere. Look, I'm going to put on my policy bifocals for a second. When I'm looking out at cap and trade, and when I'm looking out at tax hikes coming down the road, I'm very concerned about that policy direction. And I think Don and Peter are very wise to be concerned about that. But you look through the bottom of the bifocals, too, and you look at what's right in front of you. And what's right in front of us is an economic cycle. And we're in the part of the economic cycle that I think is the beginning of the recovery. So, look out on the long run. I share all of their concerns about the policy direction. It's awful. But that's not what seems to be driving things at this particular moment. What seems to be driving things at this particular moment is monetary policy, is getting the credit system functioning again, and all of the dominoes that fell because credit wasn't flowing now are starting to stand back up.
Dougie Cass, you're not near as critical of Obamanomics as some of these other gentlemen are, and I want to lob into this. Is it possible that, including myself, because I do not like the government running the banking system, I don't like the government running General Motors, I don't like the government guaranteeing lube jobs for their warranties on automobiles. On the other hand, maybe when you go back to last fall, Henry Paulson and Ben Bernanke, and now we've gone in through this winter and spring, maybe this is a better policy under these highly unique, worrisome, and scary circumstances. Where do you come out?
The responses from Jerry and Don, I think, are academic responses. We were on the doorstep of the Great Depression #2, and there was really no alternative at that time.
Sure there was.
Do you think Obama's heading for a big tax policy? Do you think he's going to smother the economy with a cap and trade? We're going to debate this later with Reich and Moore, but I want you guys to take a whack at it. The stuff that's in front of us, do you think his national health care plan, Dougie, will require also another big tax hike? Where do you come out on these threats?
I think that there are several, and you just mentioned a few of them, non-traditional, non-conventional headwinds that we have as investors, limited experience and perspective to deal with. It's going to elevate volatility. It's going to make the road to higher ground more bumpy. But I think in the fullness of time, we'll go much higher. And I think those concerns expressed previously by the guests are concerns perhaps fourth quarter, early 2010 concerns.
All right, but Don Luskin, in view of the rapid growth in money supply, the expansion of the Fed's balance sheet pouring liquidity, the normalized upward sloping yield curve, which is so great for banks, the improvement in all of the credit market indicators, I mean, every one. In fact, you know what I noticed today? Junk bonds had a big rally. Investment grade bonds had a big rally. Short-term rates are at rock bottom. Why not deal with this a day at a time, a week at a time? And to use Jerry's point, let's look right in front of us before we go down the road and conjure up all the worst-case scenarios. Why can't we say that America is still fundamentally a free market economy? And guys like me believe in our democracy, believe in progress, believe in American economic progress, even though sometimes I'm highly disappointed in policies in Washington. Why not play it that way in a shorter-term sense, Don?
That's fine. That's a great way to play it. That's exactly what I've been saying every week on this show. The problem is, it's just kind of sad that you have to become a player instead of being an investor. Wouldn't it be nice if all that stuff we've been telling our 401k plan participants for the last 25 years about buy them and hold them and forget them and stocks so long term and the gospel of equities, wouldn't it be nice if that turned out to have actually been true? But no, all of a sudden we're talking the language of 12-step programs where we have to go through life one step at a time, one day at a time, and do all this, what amounts to day trader nation.
Well, I like
that's great. I understand.
If the Federal Reserve and the Treasury,
we all do. I never exhaled.
Don, if the Federal Reserve and Treasury Department hadn't gone all in, what would the outcome have been?
Who knows?
Well,
but
wait, excuse me. You're preaching to the choir. I don't expect you to have memorized everything I've ever said in public, but I absolutely agree with that. I don't think they shouldn't have done that. That's not the problem. I just don't want to see top marginal income tax rates.
Peter Schiff, real fast. What if Bernanke is right, Peter? What
He's
if
never
he
been
done
right.
it exactly right this time?
He's never been right. Why should he start being right now?
What are the bank rally telling us? What's the bank rally telling us?
Look, I think stocks are going up because people don't want cash. People are figuring out that cash is going to be trash, and they rather own something that's not cash. But look what's happening abroad. Look at the strength in the foreign markets versus our own.
Jerry Bowyer, let me banks are up close to 90% from the bottom.
Look how much they dropped, though.
Jerry Bowyer, that has got to be a positive sign. I don't care how you get there. Look at the market verdict. It was the market that pulled the plug on banks in 2008 and early 2009.
And now the market is giving the thumbs up.
That's
and you know what? And you know what? If you didn't have Fed nibbling around about nationalization and stress tests, they'd be up one whole heck of a lot more just based on the fundamentals.
All right,
Bernanke is the guy who helped us avoid a depression.
I think the guy
he's
may
leading
wind
us
up,
right into one.
The guy may wind up getting a lot more credit than probably even I ever give him. We're going to have, by the way, Ed Yingling, head of the American Bankers Association, talk about the stress test issue, which I think may be better than I originally thought. And our very own Steve Leisman has a whole new report on how banks can get rid of their warrants as well as their TARP money and get out from under government control. But then again, later in the show, we're going to look at Reich and Moore debating this EPA dictum that could lead to cap and trade, which I think is a real bad idea. By the way, today, to the day, is CNBC's 20th anniversary. I say congrats to all of us. I'm so blessed to be part of this. You're watching the Kudlow Report. Our ace investment experts are coming right back. We're going to look at the last 20 years. This is the Kudlow